morning. I'm doing live stream. You want to say hello to the world? Would you like to say hello to the world?
Sure.
What's your name again?
Paul Gilbert.
Paul Gilbert. Where are you from, Paul?
I'm from Wyoming.
You're from Wyoming?
USA.
That's a long way from here.
It is. It's a beautiful morning and a beautiful sunrise. It's Galilee.
And we do this every day for the last 5 years.
Awesome.
Since COVID started.
There you go.
And we're commenting the daily scriptures. So you're a pastor, right?
I am.
What type of church do you pastor?
I pastor Grace Fellowship in Buffalo.
In Buffalo, Wyoming. So greetings from Magdala to all in Buffalo, Wyoming. Do you have any first impression to share with the world?
It's just a beautiful place, and to walk where Jesus walked, to be on the water where Jesus was on the water, it's miraculous.
It's a wonderful gift.
Yes, for sure.
Thank you, Pastor.
Thank you. Have a
We'll
great
see
day.
you around later on today. A large group of pastors has come from across the US. Today we have very interesting readings. I should actually go up there by Ducalaltum because you know already that it's all surrounded by water, and we have the boat altar there. And this side of the boat altar there's a big pool of water. I'll just go up there and we can go there little by little. And this, I think in some way at least, you can read this text of Ezekiel today. The water coming out from under the altar. Water is so important in the desert. It's important always. Even there was a crisis with the bad weather in Ireland and the lack of power. And obviously power, electricity is very significant in pumping water. And even where we have so much water, I hear the story of a lady who visited her farming family from Dublin. And when she arrived, she brought water with her. And the people of the house drank bottles of water completely immediately because they didn't have their water supply. How long can we last without water? And so the significance of water as a source of life, as essential to life. And here we have all this water here around the boat altar inside. Here we have the boat altar built of Lebanese cedar, and the marble inside looks like water. And today's passage of scripture, maybe we can just go inside since the clouds have hidden the sun for us. We'll find our way in. And the living water. And the source of water, just like the source of life, is the giver of all gifts, the genius of water. It defies gravity. Water climbs up in this tree just through capillary action. It has that property, and it gets to the leaves because the leaves need the water. It's an amazing, amazing, amazing reality. And then water hits a solid surface in the form of ice, but it becomes lighter, whereas most other substances become heavier. And the water would sink to the bottom, and lakes and oceans would freeze in the colder climates. And they don't do that because the water is is heavier than ice, and so the ice stays on top and forms a blanket over water. Water has such amazing properties. And then we have the marble here that simulates the impression of water. So it looks like the boat's sitting on water. And that the boat's floating on the Sea of Galilee. That's the idea. And here you can hear the water also. And then the story is connected with Jesus teaching from the boat. So when the chapel is filled with pilgrims and the pastor is here proclaiming the gospel from the boat floating on the water on the Sea of Galilee like Jesus did, this is the scene that's remembered here. So the prophet is taken by the angel outside the temple to the east side, comes out the north towards the Damascus door direction, around to the Kidron Valley from the east side looking at the temple, and he sees the water that had been trickling out from the altar coming out from the wall, and it's up to ankle deep, and he keeps going. And let me just make sure that I'm chapter 47, I think, of Ezekiel, yes. And then he goes, the angel takes him down further and it's up to his knees, and then he takes him down further and it's up to his side. And then he can't walk and wade anymore, so he's going off down the stream down to the Dead Sea. And there are more fish in the Dead Sea than there are in the Mediterranean, and their coast of the Dead Sea is filled with fishermen from Ein Gedi to Ein Gelim. And then he's brought back. Nobody knows where Ein Gelim is, by the way, so don't look for it in the map. It's a name from biblical times that's lost from 6 centuries, 7 centuries before Christ, and it's lost the name, but it must have been someplace with a relative significant distance from Ein Gedi, because here they're communicating abundance, and you have this whole coastline filled with fishermen. And then he comes back the Kidron Valley to Jerusalem. Both sides, there are trees growing on both sides of the river, and they're laden with fruit, all different kinds of fruit trees, and the leaves are good for healing. And it's a fantastic image of the healed world that will be filled with life. That gives us great hope. The readings today are really filled with hope. The Lord of hosts is with us. Our stronghold is the God of Jacob. God is our refuge and our strength, and never present help in distress. Sometimes we get very stressed out. There we need hope. We need to calm down. We need to say, Lord, I don't see how this is going forward. You know how it's going to go forward. You have me in the palm of your hand. You are our stronghold. You are our defense. You are whom we know you are. And then we have another water event at the pools of Bethesda. And Bethesda is not to be confused with Bethsaida. Bethsaida is across the lake, but Bethesda is in Jerusalem. And there are two big miracles that Jesus does in Jerusalem. In John's Gospel, he heals this paralytic man, and he heals the blind man. And that's connected with the David story, that the blind and the lame will keep you out of taking the city of the Jebusites. And Jesus heals the blind and the lame when he comes into the city. They are very significant excavations, which also turn the tide in exegetics about John's Gospel. People had thought that he was speaking only figuratively in his Gospel, but it turns out that he was completing many details of history and geography that the synoptics hadn't covered, because no story is going to cover the whole of reality, even of a football game. And you can have 5 different people writing the story, and they'll write 5 different accounts of the same football game. So, because they have different sensitivities, different things are significant for them, they put emphasis on different portions, depending on their audience, depending on other topics they're dealing with. And so this, the pools of Bethesda and the pools with the pool with the 5 porticos, and they thought they were trying to give exegetical meaning to this, interpretive meaning, and it turns out the structures are there. That's what the archaeology turned up quite a while ago. And then the discovery of the pilot stone was very important. And the pool of mercy that does deeds of love, hesed. One of the very practical forms of charity, coming with compassion from the heart for those in need and misery. He was 38 years there, almost as long as the people in the desert looking to get into their place of well-being. It's a long time. That's also a great reason for hope today, that no matter how long you've been dealing with family problems, with health problems, with financial problems, with issues with colleagues at work, don't give up. You might be struggling for a long time. Other people might be taking advantage of the spot you had. Don't give up. Be patient. Hang in there. Your patience is being tested. You're being prepared to enter the promised land. And that's actually the story of our whole lives. There are many things we'd like to change in our lives. The status of our children, their spiritual and moral status, the status of the church, the status of politics, and we should do our part working. We don't have to be paralyzed. But we do need to have great hope, always, because this world doesn't give us the fullness of what we desire. It cannot. Our heart is bigger than this world. one human being is worth more than the entire universe. And so our heart is aching and longing, and we need to live by hope. Hope does not disappoint. It's the great theme of this Jubilee year we're in. These readings are extraordinary nourishment for that. I think that's enough for today. There's more things we could say. The great gift we have in the word of Jesus. Take up your mat and walk. And let's not have a narrow-minded bitterness that maybe this man had himself. He was very discouraged, very lonely. Nobody's here to help me. I'm on my own. It's a disastrous situation. We'll never get changed. Or then the others that are finding fault. He's carrying his mat on Shabbat. You shouldn't heal people on the Sabbath. And we can all have these kind of exclusive criteria that we apply against others. People, God bless you. See you later. We're in a time of great hope. Filled with hope. Hope will not disappoint. God bless you. Just thought I'd sit down here beside this rock here today.